Hello, ISCP fans. Welcome to our first ever live podcast episode from a racetrack here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And we're lucky to be joined by the great road Indian insider, Mr. Rob Howden. Hello, Rob.
Good to be here, Jared. How you doing?
I am doing great. Just happy to be at a track.
Right, to be at the racetrack.
Actually seeing race cars with my own two eyes. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's so I've been really lucky, right? Getting a chance to be at all these races, and I think most of us who have been at these races understand it's a blessing because a lot of people haven't been able to be here, whether it was at the 500 or any of the races we've been at. I think it's been exciting that we've been able to be here and walk around and see some fans around here. It's good to have them back too, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a stark contrast from you just about any other race you've seen this year. Cars going around, nobody in the stands. You look out at these road courses, normally the mounds are just packed to the brims with spectators. They got their canopies out there shotgunning beers all day.
That's it.
You don't see much of that anymore, and it's kind of a shame. But with any luck, everything will be back to normal next year.
Cross the fingers, right?
Yes,
I keep using
that's the goal.
I keep using the term pressing the reset button, right? Let's just press the reset button, get this season done. And I want to just go to 2021 like nothing ever happened. I want to go to St. Petersburg like we should have done back in March and just go racing. That's what I want.
I still remember I got all the way to St. Petersburg, flew all the way down there, and on the flight down there, I got the email that it was being postponed, and I'm like, well, my sister lives in Jacksonville. I'll go spend time with her.
Now we're racing. And the thing, at least, I always do this, a shout out to Danny Anderson, because without Dan, just like probably without Roger Penske, we wouldn't have an IndyCar series this year. But without Dan, I don't think we'd have, the amount of investment he has, we wouldn't have these kids racing. And you don't want any of these kids to have a year off. It's tough enough at Indy Lights, not being able to run, but the guys in USF 2000 and the guys in Indy Pro, they're getting a full season. We're getting a lot of racing in for these guys.
Well, and it's a real testament to Dan Anderson and his commitment to all of this, especially after the very unfortunate incident with Braden Eves. To see him come out and say, we're already working on a new chassis. We want this halo. We're sad that if we would have waited one more year, we could have gotten one with it. But I mean, it's the commitment level out of Dan is incredible.
Well, and again, like remember Dan, number one, Dan's son used to race, right? I was actually here when they won. His son Mike won the SEC National Championship in Formula Continental here at Mid-Ohio. I can't remember what year that was, 2004 or 5 potentially. So he's been a father, been a racing father. He's had his own racing team, and now he's got the series, right? So he understands the driver safety, and I think and he's been a team owner as well. So he's balancing back and forth with I want the safety of the drivers, but I understand the capital investment that has to come from all the teams. Having just bought a chassis in 2017, now you potentially got to go to a new car. But safety's thing we have to do. It'll in the long run, it'll pay off for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even if you save one driver's life, just look at the windscreen in IndyCar. How much it's. I mean, I feel like it saved multiple lives this year.
Well, we talked about the incident with Spencer Pigot at the very end of the 500. And think about that. That side impact that he had. What would have happened had that not been there? Oh, yeah. Same goes with James Davis with the fire.
Yeah, the explosion. We actually watched it in slow motion on our podcast afterwards, and you can see the explosion hit the side of the aero screen, and it's hard to imagine what that would have been like if there was no aero screen.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And it's scary, and I'm glad to see that innovation safety's always been at the forefront in IndyCar racing.
Most definitely, yeah.
And just to see the level of reaction and how quickly things come to change. It doesn't matter. I mean, it may cost some money, it may cost some goodwill with the fans or whatever, but they don't care. It's safety above everything.
And I think people saw when they first saw the aero screen, they hated it, right? And I wasn't like, I don't like to look at the front. Side looks pretty good though. And then they added some of the decals, the livery to the. Now I think they look like fighter jets.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
From the front angle, it doesn't look exactly the best because it's a little wide at the top. But like I keep saying, if we wait for the next car, that aero screen then is going to be designed into the overall package, not a bolt-on. And I think it's going to look a lot different at that point.
Well, and it's always better to have something built into it from the ground up versus having to retrofit later on.
Completely.
I mean, it may look aesthetically ugly, but it really grows on you.
I agree. I think with a lot of the liveries, I really like it. I think it looks really good. Actually.
Yeah, there's been some good ones.
I didn't think I would have said that at the start. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to love this thing, but I really do. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing how they find any square inch of spot to put a sponsor name, and they will put it there.
Well, and so going back to our program. Do we go to a halo, or do we end up going to some kind of an aero screen? Right? which way do we go? And talking to Tavis about building a new car. It's not a conversation I've had yet with Dan or anybody in the series because I think it's really new. Of course, we were only at Indianapolis a week ago.
Yeah,
it's literally a week ago. So it's not a conversation I've had yet. But I'd like to find out what the thoughts are. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see a lot of what the owners think, and I'm sure the drivers are all for any amount of safety.
I think they would be completely.
And I can guarantee you the owners in the back of their minds will think about money, but they don't care about it. If they were in racing, anybody that's in racing to make a profit is in the wrong business.
That's exactly it, right? I could be making a lot more money somewhere else. For sure.
A lot of us could be making a lot more money.
One of the key things too, and I think I can't remember. Maybe it was uncredited, but somebody had said something. I think Steve Whittick might have had it on Trackside Online or TSF Ladder. Was that a team owner realizes that if the safer the car is, the more attractive it's going to be to more people, right? You have a certain amount of people in USF 2000 and Indy Pro right now. Maybe some of the European drivers may select a different series, F4, British F4, British F3, because of the halo and that little extra safety. Yeah. We add that, it could be more drivers over here. And so, it's going to be capital investment for the teams. But if it attracts more drivers and we end up with 30 cars in USF 2000 or 24 cars in Indy Pro, and if every team can have one more car, that's going to make the difference, I think. Right. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's and anything that they can do. I mean, you see you actually seen a lot of it over the last few years with European drivers coming over and explicitly saying, "I don't want to race ovals." Yeah. They're scared of the ovals because there's been a lot of incidents over the years of drivers getting injured on an oval. It's literally the most dangerous form of racing on the planet, except for maybe drag racing to an extent.
To a certain extent, I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, IndyCar is one of the most dangerous racing sports out there. And so you see these drivers that say, I'm scared of these ovals, but then you add the halo, you add the aero screen, anything to add the safety, and all of a sudden the confidence of these drivers goes up a little bit. Hey, I'm more protected. I'm willing to take on this kind of risk because the safety is there. I feel better.
And I think that every incident we have is what pushes safety forward, right? If it wasn't for the incident with that we had with Justin Wilson, maybe there wouldn't have been that move forward to the aero screen. And then you have the incident with Robert Wickens, and I know they've already talked about more stuff that's going to happen. At the 500, when Spencer got into the attenuator on the pit wall, immediately on IndyCar radio, Davey Hamilton said, this wreck, they're going to get so much info for this wreck, they're going to redesign or add a design to the attenuator at the end of the wall, right? Just to make sure that it's even safer next time. With incidents, although they're scary to watch, it's those incidents that push new technology to make it even safer.
Yeah, it is sad that it's a reactionary thing where something bad has to happen first before a level of change will come. But it's that way in everything in the world. And it's unfortunate, but it's all the almighty dollar. You can spend $1 trillion making things as safe as possible, but it's not really going to pay off at all.
But it's safety. Racing's not intrinsically safe, so it's not like we don't want to wrap.
You'll never reach that.
We're not going to wrap
pure level
in bubble wrap, right? Let them go racing. There's got to be the reason why they're out there doing it. Maybe we aren't, is because I'm too scared to go that fast. That's the thing. That's what separates the Warriors in IndyCar from other people that sit in the grandstands and have a cold beer and enjoy watching. Right?
Or sit up in the media center and talk about it and write about it all day.
And those who can't talk about it, right?
That's exactly it.
Good day today, though. Really good day today.
Oh, absolutely beautiful day. We had 4 qualifying sessions for Indy Pro 2000, USF 2000, qualifying session for the MX5 Cup. Was this their first race of the year in MX5?
No, I don't know. They ran a couple races, I think.
I know they haven't had all too many.
I know they were at Indianapolis with us a couple weeks ago. I don't follow the series that closely. I'm not sure. I don't know that they were. I think maybe they were at Road America with us. I don't know. I was running around so much. I'm running around doing what I do. I don't even know who's in the track sometimes.
Yeah, it can be
for sure. I thought qualifying was good, and I think the biggest thing if you start out looking at qualifying right now, it's Christian Rasmussen coming back after what kind of happened in Indianapolis in USF 2000. He won the first 6 races of the year, and I want to say he even thought that he was going to be able to storm through, kind of take the championship easy peasy, but just didn't really have the speed in Indianapolis overall. He was 6th and 5th in the first 2 races, and the issue from starting off pole in race 3, couldn't get in the roll. He ends up having some issues and finishes 21st. For him to come back and go P1 in the first qualifying session for race 1, I talked to him afterwards in the paddock. He was smile ear to ear because man, I'm back, because he won all 3 races here in July.
Yeah, that was really good for him in the points too.
Well, just to get that 1 point, right? But the point's a point. He's 50 points ahead. Still got a big gap in points. But if they get back where he needs to be, to get that confidence back, because I'm sure he was not feeling confident when he didn't have the speed in Indy.
Well, and I have a feeling that confidence might have gotten a little shaken after the second qualifying when he had what sounds like the exact same mechanical issue that killed him, and he was only able to finish or grid 6th for the second race.
I like the fact that, and again, I say this a lot when we talk about the young drivers. Middle of the season is when the rookies start to kind of step up. The primary rookie we're watching really kind of step to the forefront is number 1, Christian Brooks, number 2, probably Josh Green from Cape Motorsports. But it's that second-year driver, Reese Gold. He's only 16.
Yeah.
And last year was kind of a back of the top 10 kind of guy. And I knew that he'd come out a year older, a little more confident. He had that run of front row starts, 3 straight podiums here. Decent run at Lucas Oil Raceway, but man, he was again super strong at Indianapolis. You get that first win, it just changes everybody's mindset when you get that first race win.
Well, so especially if he's not a rookie anymore, but yeah, you're on 16 years old getting that first win, and especially in USF 2000, the depth of the field in USF 2000 is incredible. You have a lot of very young drivers, very talented up and coming drivers, competing against some little bit older drivers with some experience. You get a very big mix of it. And especially with 20-some cars, just about every race, you actually get a good competitive balance.
And I think that you said especially USF 2000, because if a driver's won in USF 2000 and they go to Indy Pro and they haven't won yet, they know they've already won on the road to Indy. I was a USF 2000 winner. I just haven't won yet in Indy Pro, but I will.
You will, yes.
Hunter Macker hasn't won yet, but he won so many races last year, he comes in with a lot of confidence. A guy like Reese, he won the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series. He got confidence there, but it's not road to Indy. And so last year he was never on the podium. Actually, his first pole I think was this weekend as well. But then turns around and gets a race win. I'm telling you, it opens the floodgates for these young guys.
No, absolutely. You come from karting where you're very well aware that it's a step up. It's a handling difference. It's a mechanical setup difference. It takes a lot of these younger drivers a year or so to kind of get the feel for the car, get just the feeling of it under them and get used to it. And then usually in that second year is when they spread their wings and start flying away.
Has that always been like the series? And it's funny that now drivers come in and they think, because of what we saw with Oliver Askew, and with Regis VK and Kyle Kirkwood, where it's first year win championship, used to be 2 years. It was always learn, win. It was a 6-year program, right? Well, now these guys are streaming through, going all the way through in 4 years. Now everybody thinks they can do that. That was just, I think, and they were older drivers. That's the one thing too. I keep saying that people try to get into the sport when they're 14, 15. The guys that have been successful over the last couple of years have been 18, 19, and 20, right? They've been older, they've been more mature. They ran some of the top level karting, national level senior racing, not just junior, but senior racing, and allows them to be way more mature when they come and run.
Well, speaking of Oliver Askew, he definitely set the bar very high for just about anybody coming into the road to Indy. This kid never even knew anything about racing until one day when he was 13, 14, and then he's like, "Hey, I want to do this." And now look at him. He's won just about everywhere he's been. You
go to his karting, and where he was in karting, he was with the Ocala Grand Prix group for a while, and we're talking about Scott Speed's brother Alex Speed was there. There was the amount of talented drivers that were coaches at Ocala Grand Prix. A lot of money they're invested in the drivers. Those kids were driving all the time down in Florida. And so he ran all this national stuff to the point where when he had so many laps when he first came in, even though he got into cars and had no experience, he had that maturity. He had that racecraft that he was taught by some amazing people down there at that facility and that team, that once he finally got in, it really just, everything clicked for him, right? And he's with Cape Motorsports. Let's be real. They go from Dominic Cape. They'll take you, as long as you have the right mentality and maybe thick enough skin, because these guys want to win every race. If you take all that and you get molded correctly and don't kind of fold under the pressure, that's what happened. He just was able to step up and work.
It's very much a sink or swim environment. You
I
either
I never used that, but that's very true.
You jump in the deep end and you're either gonna tread water, you're gonna sink, or you're gonna win the Olympics.
Yeah, and I like it when a kid, I don't care, guy or girl, whatever it is, when they have that trouble, they're able to bounce back. They don't recoil from it.
Yeah.
They take it head on. I had a bad race. I made a mistake. They don't throw tantrums. They put their head down and go, you know what? I made a mistake there.
Yeah, you don't sit there and wallow in it. You don't circle the drain. You just say, okay, I made this mistake, and I do this, and this to correct it. And hopefully you never make the mistake again.
And it's all learning.
They're kids.
Yeah.
That's how kids learn.
And I like when they make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
When they make mistakes, they learn, they get better. You know, you learn more from your failures than you do your success.
Absolutely.
Sure. So that's big. I thought so. Rasmussen getting on pole, I think, was crucial for him. Obviously, Reese Gold being right there as well. Michael D'Orlando, good qualifying in the opening round, had that trouble. I haven't talked to Michael yet what happened, but went off the track in qualifying too. Same place that Max Kaiser went off at the end of the first qualifying session, coming down to sixth and off driver's left. I don't know really what happened there, but he was off and into the like some pretty solid left side damage.
Ooh, yeah. I saw the aftermath of that, and that's always tough when you sustain damage in qualifying like that.
And lost his fast lap. I think he was P3 at one point.
Yes, they knocked him down to 9th from that.
He kept falling because he wasn't there.
He couldn't get back out, put any more laps. That's tough. I mean, it's the same thing with the Indy cars tomorrow. You'll see. Fortunately, they don't have the Fast 6 knockout qualifying,
so much.
And I love it too. I wish they'd find a way to incorporate that into ovals. They had a form of oval Fast 6 or Fast 9 qualifying on an oval every
I guess
weekend.
That'd be kind of interesting. The events are so jam packed, right? Especially for the oval events.
Yeah.
I love Firestone Fast 6 qualifying. I just think it's the absolute best. I love
the drama.
Oh, it is, and it's just always the hundredths of a second. But I'm a big fan of 2-lap qualifying on the ovals. I know people would like something different, but
where they split it, the first lap for their first race, second lap for the second. It was an interesting gimmick. I mean, IndyCar is not the gimmick racing, but this is one that actually
got the job done.
It got the job done, and it fit with the profile of what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to do a second set of oval qualifying?
Sure. The next day we do it again.
Yeah, I mean, then it's more tires. You got to ask Firestone. You have the teams that have to keep switching the cars back and forth from race trim to qualifying trim.
Yeah.
It's just too much. So it does create that strategy. Do I go hard on the first lap? Do I try to go hard both laps, or do I save it for the second lap? You get a lot of varying strategies.
And you had guys that kind of screwed up that first lap, and they can't get spooled back up for the second lap.
Yeah, and it really kills you. Or you just go hard on that first lap and burn off your tires, and then you're just hanging on for dear life that second lap. But you got the pole the first race.
Right.
So
we had a couple of guys do that.
Yeah.
If you're going to wrap up qualifying for round one, I tell you who really impressed me today was Cameron Shields. It's his second weekend with T-Force Racing. I don't know if he was getting comfortable with the team. I haven't really talked to Cameron yet, and I will as soon as I can. But for him, he ended up P5 and was kind of working his way in the top, up and down. Again, as the session kind of cycles back and forth, who got good speed at the end. I thought for him to be up P5, I think that was really big for him too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you can get a rookie up in the top 5 or so qualifying, that's a good day for
Cameron's second year. He was with last year. He was with.
I was looking at Christian Brooks.
That Christian's a great story. Great story, but a tough one. He's one of the rookies that said 2 podiums at Indianapolis, right? So this guy finally has his breakout weekend, really strong. Was P1 by 0.3 of a second in morning practice, and whatever they did, it wasn't right, and he ended up 13th in the second session. I want to say, where did he end up exactly in qualifying? I want to see the top 5. I think.
Yeah, in the second session he was 3rd.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he'll start 3rd for the race number 2 on Sunday.
He ended up 4th. It was 3rd.
Oh yeah.
So I called it.
Christian.
I called it as 3rd. Like I was, oh my god! And then all of a sudden, the last driver coming around on the track was Barrichello, and he ends up making a fool out of me. He goes P2, and remember for Eduardo, some kind of issue. I don't know what it was with something in the electrical. I think he ends up being last, so he's going to be 21st for the start of race 1. I only think he got 2 laps in, but not even 1 at speed. I think he just really drove around.
Yeah.
So Eduardo, who's in the championship points, 3rd in points, is going to start dead last. That's the guy to watch in the opening lap tomorrow.
Yeah. You're gonna see he's gonna be on a tear.
Yeah.
He's
turn 2, turn 4. Outside, going to hang the outside, and then he'll be down the bottom bonsai for sure.
Yeah, he'll be a good one to keep an eye on.
And that's the thing for tomorrow too, which I think for those of you who've been watching is we only had live audio today. We'll be live video tomorrow. IndyCar cameras are all up and good to go, and I'm sure there'll be lockdown cameras for everything we do. We won't have the panning cameras. Christian Rasmussen has a 50-point lead. Reese Gold needs to get points. So Rasmussen on pole, Gold second. You know that Gold's going to do everything he can to lead the opening lap.
Oh, absolutely.
You simply can't let Rasmussen get out front.
I mean, Reese Gold's going to start on the front row of both races.
Off pole. So you got to figure Rasmussen gets the jump, right? Because this guy gets a great start. Hasn't miffed the start yet, other than the mechanical at Indy, but in the first 6 races, which he won going away. He's going to get the lead probably through 1. 2, I would not be surprised to see him just Reese tuck either go for it in 2 or tuck it in 2. He's got to go for it in 4. You simply can't let Rasmussen win another one because it's where does I think the gap between first and second is 5 points or so. You can't let it happen.
Yeah, once you start falling in that draft behind the leader, it's so hard to get by.
With some of the faster corners, with the arrow wash, you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah,
I look for in the first race. Watch for Gold to try to go for the lead, and watch for Barrichello from dead last on the opening circuit.
Well, that's for sure what we'll be keeping an eye out for here tomorrow.
For sure. You want to talk about Indy Pro?
Yeah, they had a couple of qualifying sessions today. I know Frank will be very happy seeing his buddy Parker Thompson on the front row. Right? Yes, yeah. Frank loves Parker and Hunter McElroy.
Yeah. Well, the second qualifying, I think, more of a cage match. Guys were going back and forth on it. This one here was actually really exciting because I'll give it up for D-Force. They unloaded fast, for sure, because Manuel Suleiman and Parker have both been like top 5 in everything we did, and they were qualified. I think they qualified second and third, and they're right close. I think. And where did they end up in the first one? Yeah, Manuel on his first pole or second pole, I think, for Manuel. Yeah, because he was pole at Lucas Oil Raceway as well. Parker P4. So they're fast, which is good. They were quick in Indianapolis, but I don't think they were ultra quick in Indy Pro. They seem like they're really comfortable here. That's the key. You got to qualify a friend here. Yeah,
if you can roll off the truck fast, especially at just about any road course.
Well, this track it's so temperature dependent, and you have to be if you're not quick out of the gate, just chasing the track the rest of the time.
Well, and it's going to be tough this weekend. It's supposed to be cloudy at some point, sunny, rain on, rain off. It's going to be a mixed bag of weather all weekend.
I haven't looked totally at the weather. Is it going to rain on Sunday, or when are we going to see rain?
They were talking in the morning, possibly impacting IndyCar qualifying in the morning. That would be interesting if we get a rain qualifying.
Well, USF 2000, they're on track. That would they be in the morning? They're tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
they're in the midday on Sunday. I think they're like 12:15 on Sunday.
11:15.
11:15.
Yep.
Yeah. So because
right after IndyCar qualifying.
I'm talking to Christian Brooks because he his first weekend at Road America it rained in one of the qualifying sessions and he qualified P2. He likes the wet because one of the things about Christian, which is really interesting, here's a guy that comes out of karting, and you figure top karter, right? And you figure you're going to go road to Indy, you're going to go F4, F1600, that's where they're going to go, one of those directions. He goes to the Red Bull Global Rallycross instead with dry Rybold and GRC lights. So here he is learning car control on the dirt. You know what I mean?
There's no better way to learn car control than on dirt.
He's like literally wringing his hands hoping for rain right now because he would love to have a rain race.
Like Pagano did at the Indy Grand Prix last year. He just sat back there, and as soon as that rain started to fall, it's like, okay, well, now here's the real sign.
There we go. That's right. No doubt about it. But in the opening qualifying round, let's have Frost P1. I think it's actually his first pole position of the year. He was pole at Road America, but they had a technical DQ because they had the wrong 6th gear in it.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
So he had to go dead last at 16th. Didn't stop him. He drove to the front and ended up winning the race anyway.
Yes.
But it'll be his first pole position start. But only 400ths of a second back is Thompson. 500ths is back is Suleiman. Top 3 drivers. 500ths of a second.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you can't just kind of guess that. I mean, it's just to go out there in such a long lap. I mean, not terribly long lap, but I mean, 2.5 miles almost to be within 5/100ths of a second of another person. It's crazy how, and everybody's driving style is different.
And I put Parker Thompson kind of in the same boat as Reese Gold. Not that Parker's got the point leader in front of him, Stingray Robb. Stingray's actually starting right behind him, P4, but Parker needs a race win. He's that far back, right? He's I can't remember, it's like 84 points or 90 points back or something significant where he needs some race wins. And I think that'll be another challenge. Parker's going to want to go to the lead quickly. Daniel's a driver who will defend pretty aggressively. But the great thing about turn 4 is you really can't defend. If you defend to the inside, they got
they got they have the inside on the next corner.
It's hard to defend down there, I think, if the driver's aggressive enough. But I think Parker's going to want to lead because if he gets out front, he should be able to pull away.
It's been a tough year for Parker. It seems like just every weekend something different that's out of his control.
Well, I picked him as my driver of the race for round number 3. The guy qualifies well at Indianapolis and literally gets driven off the racetrack, no fault of his own. He gets pushed off the racetrack and he ends up going to the tail, fights all the way back up to I think 5th. He finished 5th, I think. Like just a tremendous drive, but he had to come up to the tail of the field again. 12th back to 5th. It's just been.
The worst
really,
luck.
it's kind of been his storyline, right? The year that he ran a year with JDC Motorsports, he and Anthony Martin battling for Rookie of the Year in USF 2000. They both moved to Cape the next year. They're going back and forth, to win championships in 16. And a flat tire here, a puncture here in Mid-Ohio allows Anthony Martin to move ahead. He gets the scholarship.
Yeah, that's your season. A flat tire is a different and a scholarship too.
Yeah, to do the scholarship. He's not going to be able to run. Well, he gets picked up by Exclusive Autosport. We moved to the new car. They want a new driver. They want a driver to come in and kind of dial the car in. He wins a bunch of races and does well, but can't quite win the championship. New team. Moves to Indy Pro with them. It's the same thing. They're working on the setup. Brand new team, but no budget whatsoever. He's battling it out with Renus VK. David Malukas gets into it at Toronto. Championship changes right there. That's kind of been the characteristic of his career, where stuff that's not his fault happens to him and puts him behind the 8 ball.
But I mean, it's that adversity that you learn to overcome the adversity, and it makes you that much better of a driver.
He's still here, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and he has a good future ahead of him.
100%. Now the thing is, so Frost is going to be dying for a win. Thompson's going to be dying for a win. Suleiman wants to break the egg.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Stingray Rob P4. That's the interesting thing about him, is now that he's got this point lead. It's not massive.
Yeah.
But he starts a couple spots ahead of DeFrancesco, who's behind him. He really has the ability to kind of more manage, I think, his race and be really super aggressive.
Yeah, in his mind, he wants to win that scholarship. He wants a championship. He wants to move up. Yep. So his race strategy is going to be very dependent on it. He's going to look, his spotters going to be like, okay, De Oliveira's or whoever is behind you, DeFrancesco right behind you. You're good. That's really all that matters.
But then Stingray came back again and almost stole the pole in race number 2.
3/100ths of a second off.
That's right. Well, and the thing is, I call him throwing haymakers, because he just kept going back and forth, right? Thompson would be P2, then he'd bounce back. Thompson would be up to P2. But then it was Suleiman and Rob. They were kind of together, and they were just going back and forth. It was Rob up front, and then Suleiman behind him, because he used Rob as the rabbit. Rob would go P1, Suleiman right behind him, drop another 10. Yep. Drop another 10.
And they just keep repeating that every single lap.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. I enjoyed that. It was good. It was a fun qualifying session to call. A lot of people don't like qualifying, but I've always loved the kind of the idiosyncrasies of qualifying, because it's such an interesting thing. It's the driver versus the track. And I keep talking about it. Ricardo Juncos broke it down to me one time. I just thought it was awesome. You have to have everything come together. The 5 different components, right? You go out, get out there, and the driver. So now you have to have the tire pressures correct, so that when they come up to temperature to the point, when they come up to the temperature, the tires at exactly the right temp. Temp. The pressures are up. Tires the right temp at the right lap on the tire when you're going to get your magic lap.
Yeah.
Driver has to be able to then have open racetrack. You got to get the lowest point of fuel, and the driver has to get the job done.
Yeah.
So if all that stuff converges at the right spot, then you're going to get a full lap. Which I just think that's the magic of it, to be able to put it all together. In a race, it's a dogfight, right? You're taking the gloves off, you're scrapping back and forth. You have a horrible lap if you're making a dive bomb move to the inside. Qualifying's all about putting every piece together at the right time.
Well, in a lot of ways, qualifying is more stressful than the race itself, especially a track like Mid-Ohio, where passing is very difficult. You want to be at the front, and you'll do whatever it takes to start there.
Yeah, big time. That's it. We've got 3 races for USF 2000, 2 for Indy Pro. We run 2 for USF 2000 tomorrow, 1 first thing in the morning.
Yeah, first thing in the morning.
We're actually road Indy's done pretty early. I got to work. I got a late race, about 5 o'clock for IndyCar. That's
5 o'clock. It is a very late start. We might not be able to get in before the sun goes down.
On.
Yeah. Can we get some lights here? Put a spotlight on the helicopter.
Literally, it's 5:16 right now, so we'd be starting 15 minutes ago. It'd be interesting.
Oh yeah. It'll make for an interesting time. All I know is I'll be going to bed very early tomorrow night.
That's right. No, doesn't matter. That's cool. Good stuff.
Yeah, well, like to thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. Sorry that
it was 100 yards away from the booth. You're right.
Yeah, it's like, man, it kind of worked out. I've never actually been on the inside of the track before.
That's good, right?
It's a little tough though. There's no video boards anywhere.
Well, I have a full.
I know. Yeah,
you can sit with me. I got all
yeah. Well, I mean, the NBC booth, the NBC people is right next to us, but they put a curtain in the window so we can't look in. It's so no, we can't look at Paul Tracy. Nobody wants to look at Paul Tracy.
No, I don't want to see him take his shirt off.
God, no.
You don't want that.
You don't.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
That's just wrong.
Hey, great to be on with you guys. And
Yeah.
I've done it before. I mentioned Parker. I was on with Parker a couple times on the show, on the podcast, and just chatting away. That was a couple years ago. It's been a while. You guys have been rocking and rolling.
Like Frank and Missy said, they've been doing this since 2014. They're the longest running IndyCar Road to Indy podcast out there. No matter what some other people may say, Frank and Missy been doing this a very long time.
That's good stuff.
And they know what they're doing. And one thing I learned from them is that they love the Road to Indy more than IndyCar.
That's the way.
And that's the way. Like my mindset this year is turned into. I see the Indy cars there. I see the drivers come around. It's gotten to the point. I see Mario Andretti walk by, and I'm like, it's just Mario. It's nothing special.
I don't do that. I'm like, Mario. Yeah. But no, it's funny when you do it long enough. If you look at the way the Road to Indy is right now, the IndyCar program. It's all the Road to Indy drivers, guys. If you really have followed the Road to Indy, you know the backstory of all these drivers already. It's not like you have to go on Google. Alex Palou, I didn't follow Alex a lot, right? But you go on Google, you figure out, you do a search. But everybody knows what Jack Harvey did, and the guys from a while, whether it's Pato or Colton or all the guys that have come up through. You know what they've done because you were a guy that really, really watched the Road to Indy.
Well, and to see them come on the show when they're younger, when they first get in there, and see how they progressed and matured over the years is one of the best things to see, especially when you get someone who's moved up every level of the Road to Indy, makes it to IndyCar, and just like, I've known this guy I've known this kid since he was a kid.
And a kudos to the show as well for being doing it so long. It's an opportunity for these guys to be on podcasts, right? But long before they get to IndyCar, they get a chance to be in a podcast, get interviewed, get an understanding of how to work with an interviewer. Right. It's part of the trainings.
Yes.
There's training in the race car, there's training in the debrief room, but there's also media training as well.
Well, yeah, and Diane and Tammy at the Road to Indy PR, they do a great job of preparing these kids for the next level, but there's nothing that really beats the actual experience of sitting down with somebody, being interviewed, going back and forth, and all that stuff, building that up. That's where these kids really learn.
Then when they get to IndyCar, it's super easy. They're media gems at that point.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'd thank everybody for tuning in. Maybe we'll be able to do something tomorrow afterwards. It'll probably just be me out here by myself. If
you never know, I may stop by. We'll see how things.
And I'm trying to.
I got IndyCar too.
I'm actually trying to get like some Road to Indy drivers to come on, do 5-10 minutes and stuff. It would be nice to get some kids here, get some exposure for them.
We'll get somebody over here.
But thanks everybody for tuning in. Big thanks to Rob Howden. Make sure to check him out on Road to Indy Insider and ekartingnews.com. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks again for tuning in.